So good morning. Today's topic is exercise after surgical reconstruction of ACL injury. So I'm not going to discuss in detail about the physiotherapy management of ACL injury, but I am going to teach the basic concept behind the treatment of the ACL injury, post-surgical reconstruction of ACL injury. So ACL, the complete rupture of the ACL, it does not heal spontaneously, and the PT intervention is an essential component for the successful repair of the ACL reconstruction. So after ACL injury, basically the patient will have three main problems. Clear? The first problem is, the patient will have the reflex inhibition of the quadriceps muscle. Again, I'll explain. Normally, after ACL injury or any knee injury, patient will have three basic problems. First problem is the patient will have reflex inhibition of the quadriceps muscle, and second problem is patient will have weakness in the quadriceps, and third, because of the weakness and because patient is not actively using the muscle, there may be a possibility of the atrophy of the quadriceps muscle. So first is reflex inhibition, second is weakness of the quadriceps, and third is the atrophy of the quadriceps muscle. So what is the main cause of reflex inhibition of the quadriceps muscle? So first I want to explain what is reflex inhibition and what is the cause of reflex inhibition after ACL injury. Normally, after any knee injury, any ligament injury around the knee will result in the spasm of the quadriceps muscle, and that is called it's a protective spasm. It's called as a protective spasm. And normally after any knee injury, patient will have protective muscle spasm, and this muscle spasm normally it does not develop in the quadriceps muscle. Again, I'll repeat. After any knee joint injury, the patient will have the reflex, or it's a protective muscle spasm of the hamstring muscles. Generally, the protective muscle spasm develops in the hamstring muscle, not in the quadriceps muscle. So I would like to explain why the hamstring muscle it goes for spasm after knee injury, not quadriceps. Because for this you should understand the basic function of the ACL injury, ACL ligament and the quadriceps muscle. You should know the primary action of ACL, anterior cruciate ligament, and the primary action of the quadriceps muscle. So if you take the quadriceps muscle, or I'll first explain the function of the ACL. So this is ACL, this is anterior and this is posterior for this diagram. Clear? And what is the main function of ACL? The main function of ACL is it prevents excessive anterior translation of tibia. It prevents ACL, the tension in the ACL, it prevents or it restrains the anterior translation of the excessive anterior translation of the tibia if the femur is fixed. That is the main function of anterior cruciate ligament. So what happens, and second is I would like to say about function of the quadriceps. So what is the function of the quadriceps muscle? When the quadriceps muscle is contracting, we all know it's a knee extensor. It is a knee extensor. Quadriceps muscle is a knee extensor, and it also helps in anterior translation of tibia. Anterior translation of the tibia. The function of the quadriceps muscle is it helps in anterior translation. If the femur is fixed, it helps in anterior translation of the tibia. We all know during knee extension the tibia translate anteriorly. That is the function of the quadriceps. And if the femur is fixed, it translates quadriceps muscle. If femur is fixed, quadriceps muscle translates the tibia anteriorly. Clear? And if tibia is, if femur is fixed, it helps in anterior translation of tibia. If tibia is fixed, it helps in posterior translation of the femur. So this is the function of the quadriceps. Again, I'll explain. In open kinematic motion, quadriceps muscle, it translates the tibia anteriorly. In closed kinematic motion, tibia is fixed and the quadriceps muscle, it translates the femur posteriorly. This is the function of the quadriceps muscle. So now what is the function of ACL? Function of ACL is it prevents anterior translation of tibia. That is, the function of ACL and the function of quadriceps are opposite. So that is why the quadriceps muscle is called as antagonist for ACL. Clear? The quadriceps muscle is called as antagonist of ACL because ACL prevents anterior translation. Clear? But quadriceps muscle, it helps or it assists the anterior translation of tibia. Hence the quadriceps muscle is called as an antagonist of ACL. Now what is the function of hamstrings? If you take hamstrings, clear, the direction of force is posterior direction, clear, posterior direction. So for hamstring muscle, if the hamstring muscle is contracting, you know hamstring muscle is the flexor muscle, knee flexion muscle, and during knee flexion we all know that the tibia it translates posteriorly. So what is the function of the hamstring? Hamstring, it translates the tibia posteriorly if the femur is fixed. So the tension in the, or it other word, it's called as an agonist, or it does the same function of the anterior cruciate ligament. Quadriceps, it is an antagonist for ACL, and hamstring is called as an agonist for ACL. Or in other word, we can say that if quadriceps muscle is contracting, tension in the ACL will increase, because if quadriceps muscle is contracting, tibia will translate anteriorly. If tibia is translated anteriorly, the tension in the ACL will increase. That is why the quadriceps is called as an antagonist for ACL. And what will happen if quadriceps muscle is contracting? If quadriceps muscle is contracting, the tibia will translate posteriorly and it will ease or it will relax the tension in the ACL. Clear? So in one word, if you want to say, if quadriceps muscle is contracting, tension in the ACL will increase. If hamstring muscle is contracting, the tension in the ACL will decrease. Clear? So now, what was my topic? The topic is, I was discussing why the protective muscle spasm occurs in hamstring muscle, not in quadriceps muscle. That was the question in the beginning I have asked. So if the hamstring muscle is contracting, especially in ACL injury, clear? You know, it's called as a protective muscle spasm. Protective muscle spasm develops in the hamstring muscle after ACL injury. Why? Because if the protective muscle spasm is created in the hamstring muscle, the tibia will translate, or there will be a slight flexion of the knee joint. If the knee is in slight flexed position, then it is the relaxed position for the ACL. So the further injury should be prevented. In order to prevent further injury of the ACL, hamstring muscle has to contract, or spasm has to be developed in the hamstring muscle, so that the injured ligament will be laxed after injury. So that is why the hamstring muscle develops spasm after injury of the ACL ligament. Okay. So what was the conclusion? The conclusion is, after ACL injury, protective muscle spasm of the hamstring is developed. In order to prevent, or in order to prevent re-injury of the ACL, or in order to keep the ACL in the laxed position, the hamstring muscle spasm is developed. Okay. So what is the major problem the patient will face after ACL injury? In the beginning I have told there are three problems patient will face. First is reflex inhibition of the quadriceps muscle. This is first problem. Reflex inhibition of quadriceps muscle. Second is weakness of quadriceps muscle, and third is atrophy of quadriceps muscle. So these are the three major problems patient will have immediately after ACL injury. The physiotherapist should the treatment protocol should correct these problems. Clear? You have to keep in mind when you are treating ACL injury, these three problems should be corrected, or these three problems should be prevented. That should be the main concept of the treatment. Okay. What is reflex inhibition? Clear? What is reflex inhibition? Reflex inhibition of quadriceps muscle. Clear? What is the reason of reflex inhibition of quadriceps muscle? I have already told, because of ACL injury, hamstring muscle, it develops for spasm, or the contraction is initiated in the hamstring muscle. If in physiology we would have studied, if one muscle is contracting, the opposite muscle will be inhibited. Clear? So here, because of injury, the quadriceps muscle is in a contracted state. Clear? That is a spasm. Because hamstring muscle spasm, because the contraction is initiated in the hamstring muscle, automatically the opposite group of muscle will go for inhibition. That is, opposite muscle is quadriceps muscle. So quadriceps muscle will go for inhibition. This inhibition is called as a reflex inhibition of the quadriceps. So because of ACL injury, the quadriceps muscle has gone for reflex inhibition, so which should be corrected. And second, there will be the weakness of the quadriceps muscle will be developed in the later stage, and atrophy will be result because of weakness. Okay, now second concern is you have to strengthen the quadriceps muscle. Clear? If you want to, because the quadriceps muscle will go for weakness and wasting, you have to start initiating the quadriceps muscle contraction or quadriceps muscle exercise in the beginning of the protocol, that is rehabilitation protocol. Not rehabilitation, at the early stage, immediately after injury, you have to start the quadriceps exercises. Clear? So now we already know that quadriceps is antagonist. Again I will repeat, weakness will develop. Weakness of the quadriceps muscle will develop. So you have to prevent the weakness of the quadriceps, and you have to start giving exercise for quadriceps. Imagine a patient is post surgical reconstruction has been done, ACL reconstruction has been done. Now you have to start the quadriceps muscle exercises, but you know that quadriceps is antagonist for ACL. If you start giving quadriceps exercises, then it is going to damage the newly reconstructed ACL. Again I will repeat, quadriceps muscle strengthening you have to start from the first day itself. Quadriceps exercise you have to start from the day one itself. But you know that quadriceps muscle is an antagonist. So quadriceps muscle is an antagonist for the ACL. So after injury or after surgery, newly reconstructed ACL will be damaged if you are giving strengthening exercise for quadriceps. So you have to balance. You have to be balanced. You should not damage the newly reconstructed ACL. At the same time, you should strengthen the quadriceps also. You should prepare a protocol to strengthen the quadriceps muscle in such a way that it does not damage the newly reconstructed ACL. I think you got what I want to say. So you have to start the quadriceps exercises. At the same time, you should not damage the ACL also. So how you will do it? So there is a two-part principle. When you are treating the newly reconstructed ACL patient, there are two-part principles are there. There are two principles are there. First principle is ACL strain ACL strain, the strain in the ACL increases a line of a strain increases as the line of force of quadriceps muscle. Strain increases as the line of force of quadriceps muscle closely opposes the primary action of ACL. Again I will repeat. The tension in the ACL increases as the line of force of quadriceps muscle closely opposes the primary action of ACL. Again I will repeat. The tension in the ACL increases as the force of line of action of the quadriceps muscle closely opposes the action of primary action of the ACL. I will explain this point in detail. So what is the line of force of quadriceps? This is first principle. Second principle we will discuss later. First principle is line of force of quadriceps muscle. So what is the line of force of quadriceps muscle? The line of force of quadriceps muscle. So this is the line of force of quadriceps muscle. Clear? This is extended position. This is extended knee, and this is flexed knee. This is flexed knee, and this is extended knee. Clear? So in extended knee, this is the line of force of the quadriceps muscle. You should keep in mind the line of force of quadriceps muscle is always in line with the patellar tendon. Clear? So this is the patellar tendon. Clear? This is patellar tendon. If you see the line of quadriceps line of force and the patellar tendon are in line. Clear? Normally the quadriceps muscle line of force is in line with the patellar tendon. Clear? So in extended position, in extended knee position, the line of force of quadriceps muscle is, it makes 20 degrees with the long axis of the tibia. Clear? So if you take this as a long axis of tibia, this is long axis of tibia. Clear? When you extend this long axis tibia of the tibia, so this is the line I have drawn. This is the long axis of the line drawn parallel to long axis of tibia. Clear? So if you see here, clear? So this is the angle which it makes, that is 20 degrees. Clear? In extended knee, the line of force of quadriceps, it makes 20 degrees with the long axis of the tibia, which is the maximum. Clear? So here, imagine if the quadriceps muscle is contracting in this direction. Clear? So it is going to translate the tibia anteriorly. Clear? It is going to translate the tibia. So one more question I would like to ask. Which exercise is best for newly ACL reconstructed patient? Which exercise is best? Closed kinematic exercise is best or open kinematic exercise is best? So which one is right? Which one is correct? Patient should be given open kinematic exercise or closed kinematic exercise? So the answer is, we may think that open kinematic exercise should be given. You know what is the open kinematic exercise? Suppose if imagine I am sitting on a chair and this is open kinematic exercises. Imagine I am sitting, I am not standing. If I am sitting, so this is open kinematic exercises. In high sitting position. And what is closed kinematic exercise? Closed kinematic exercise is a mini squat. Clear? So this is called a mini squat position. Clear? So this is closed kinematic exercise. Closed kinematic exercise is best exercise for ACL reconstruction. Clear? How? So if you see in this diagram, first diagram, clear? In extended position, I have already told the quadriceps line of force, it makes 20 degrees with the long axis of the tibia. So if it is making 20 degrees, if this muscle is contracting, it is going to slide the tibia anteriorly. Clear? So if the tibia is sliding anteriorly because of the contraction of the quadriceps muscle, because of the contraction of the quadriceps muscle, if the in extended knee position, if the tibia is translating, the tension in the ACL will increase. So here I had given one graph, clear. In this graph, x-axis denotes knee flexion angle and y-axis represents tension in the ACL in Newton, clear. So now here in extended position, this is 0 degree, clear. This diagram, it represents 0 degree, that is 0 degree extension. In 0 degree knee extension, clear, this is extension side and this is flexion side, clear. In 0 degree, that is in neutral position or in extended position, the tension in the ACL is 200 plus Newton, clear. Here this graph represents, red color graph represents tension in ACL if quadriceps is contracting isolated. Again I will repeat that there are two graphs are there, two lines I have drawn. This top line represents the tension in the ACL when quadriceps muscle is contracting alone, clear. And this blue color line represents, clear, this blue color line represents tension in ACL when both quadriceps muscle and hamstring muscle is contracting simultaneously, clear. Quadriceps muscle and hamstring muscles, when they are contracting simultaneously, this is the tension of the ACL. So now I am coming to this graph, this picture again. So here in first picture, the quadriceps muscle is contracting. We will take an isolated contraction first. If quadriceps muscle is contracting, so what happens? It translates the tibia anteriorly. When tibia is translated anteriorly, the tension in the ACL, it increases. So if you see the graph here at 0 degree, this red color line, this represents contraction of the isolated contraction of the quadriceps. So here the tension in the ACL is maximum, that is 200 Newton. The tension in the ACL is maximum when quadriceps muscle is contracting isolated in knee extended position, clear. Now I will go to second image or second picture. So in this position, it is, you can take this as an 80 degree knee flexion, clear. Knee is flexed 80 degree. If knee is flexed 80 degree, in this position, if quadriceps muscle is contracting isolated, or if only quadriceps muscle is contracting in 80 degree position, what will happen? Here you can see the patella position is changed, clear. Patella position in this extended position and patella position in the 80 degree position is changed, or in other words, the patellar tendon, clear, patellar tendon position has been changed. Now the angle of quadriceps will also be changed, because already I have told the line of force of quadriceps is always parallel to the patellar tendon. So now the quadriceps direction of contraction or the direction of line of force of quadriceps muscle is changed. Here it makes 20 degrees and here it makes 0 degree. What does it mean? The quadriceps muscle now it is contracting parallel to the long axis of the tibia. That is, both the line of force is parallel. Imagine if the quadriceps muscle is contracting in this direction, the tibia will move up, the tibia will go up, or the tibia will get compressed with the femur. So now what will happen? The ligament will become short, or the tension in the ACL ligament will become less. Clear? So what will happen in 80 degree knee flexion? If quadriceps muscle is contracting, now you can go to this graph. In 80 degree knee flexion, if the quadriceps muscle is contracting alone, the tension in the ACL is 0. Clear? Tension in the ACL is 0. In 80 degree knee flexion, if quadriceps muscle is contracting alone, tension in the ACL will be zero because now it is compressing. Clear? It creates a compression force. But in extended position, if quadriceps muscle is contracting, there will be anterior translation of the tibia, which will increase the tension in the ACL, and this tension will be maximum if the quadriceps muscle is contracting alone at the 0 degree extension or neutral position. Clear? So this is about, so why it is so? 20 degrees, if you in the table if you see sine 20, clear, sine 20 it is 34, 0.34, sine 20 is 0.34. If you see the table you may find it out. So sine 20 is 0.34, 0.34. In other words, 34% of the force generated by the quadriceps muscle is used for the anterior translation of tibia. Again I will repeat. If you take the 100, if you take the quadriceps muscle is contracting 100%, here, out of this 100, 34% of the force generated by the quadriceps muscle will translate the tibia anteriorly. Clear? In extended position. Clear? Now coming to 80 degree. Clear? Sorry, in 80 degree knee flexion, I have told it makes a 0 degree. Quadriceps muscle, it makes a 0 degree. If you see that in a table, sine 0 will be 0. Clear? Sine 0 means 0. That is, in 100%, if the quadriceps muscle is contracting 100%, 0% is of the force is used to translate the tibia anteriorly, or in other words, no force is used to translate the tibia anteriorly. All the 100% of the force is used to compress the joint, or that is the reason why the ACL is totally relaxed when the quadriceps muscle is contracting at 80 degree knee flexion. So this is about the quadriceps muscle isolated contraction. Now when we study the second line, that is, what is second line? Second line is, it represents the tension in the ACL, when both the quadriceps muscle and hamstring muscles are contracting simultaneously. So we know that in what situation the quadriceps and hamstring muscle will contract simultaneously? The answer is close kinematic exercise. Clear? Close kinematic. In open kinematic exercise, only quadriceps muscle will contract. Imagine I am in a high sitting position. I'll sit in a chair, 1 minute. Yeah. So now imagine I am sitting like this. This is called open kinematic exercise. This is called open kinematic knee extension. Clear? In this position, only quadriceps muscle is contracting. Quadriceps muscle, when it is contracting, it will translate the tibia anteriorly, and in extended position, the tension is more, and in flexed position, the tension is, yes, it is less, but still there is a tension in the anterior cruciate ligament. So this is called open kinematic exercise. Only quadriceps muscle is contracting. Isolated quadriceps muscle contraction. So what is close kinematic exercise? Close kinematic exercise is, this is close kinematic exercise. Clear? This is close kinematic exercise. Quadriceps muscle, when quadriceps muscle is contracting, it will try to translate the tibia anteriorly. Clear? When hamstring muscle is contracting, it will try to translate the tibia posteriorly. So one muscle is translating anteriorly, and other muscle is translating posteriorly. So what happens? Ultimately, the tension in the ACL is reduced because one muscle is pulling tibia anteriorly, other muscle is pulling tibia posteriorly. So what happens? The tension is balanced, and comparatively the tension is less in the ACL when both the muscles are contracting simultaneously. I think you got it. So now in close kinematic exercise, so what is the conclusion? In open kinematic exercise, when quadriceps muscle is contracting alone, the tension in the ACL increases. When both the hamstring muscles and quadriceps muscle are simultaneously contracting, that is in close kinematic position or exercises, the tension in the ACL is reduced. So that is what I have told in the beginning of the lecture. Immediately after post-surgical reconstruction of ACL, you have to teach close kinematic exercise instead of open kinematic exercises, because if you teach the open kinematic exercises, the tension in the newly reconstructed ACL will increase and it will damage or it will result in rupture of the newly reconstructed ACL. So that is why you should not teach the close kinematic, you should not teach open kinematic, you should teach close kinematic. So now here, so in 0 degree, that is in this position, both the muscles are contracting. You see comparatively it is less. Clear? That is 150. In 30 degrees if you see, clear? Okay. In 20 degrees you can see 20 degree. In 20 degrees the tension in the ACL is 50, almost 50 if both muscles are contracting. Clear? And in 30 degree it is almost 0. Clear? When you see the graph, 30 degrees to 80 degrees, the tension in the ACL is 0 Newton. That is, no tension is there if the both muscles are contracting simultaneously. That is, so what is safe exercise after reconstruction? The safe exercise is 30 to 80 degrees, 30 to 80 degrees, close kinematic exercise. Close kinematic exercise is the safe for newly reconstructed ACL. So what does it mean? 30 to 80. 30 to 80 means, so this is now the angle is, sorry. So this is now the angle is 90 degree, almost 90. So 30 to 80 means, or in reverse you can call it, you can say like, take this also, 80 to 30. This area is safe, close kinematic exercises. So up to 30 to 80 or beyond 80 also, that is okay. Clear? If you take 90 here, if you take 90, then also it will be 0 only. Clear? So now this is the 90 degree position. So from 90 degree position to 30 degrees, this is 30 degree flexion, almost 30 degree. Clear? This is 0 degree and this is 30 degree. Clear? So from 30 degree to 90 degree. Clear? So you can teach these exercises like this, from 90 degree to 30 degree. Clear? So if you, this is called close kinematic exercises, close kinematic knee exercises. The range should be 30 to 80. Clear? If you teach this type of exercise, then the tension in the ACL will be totally 0. So now what you are doing? Now you are actually teaching the quadriceps muscle exercise also. Clear? So I have told the quadriceps muscle strength is very important after post-surgical ACL reconstruction, because quadriceps muscle, it decides the mechanics, all the mechanics, it totally, mechanics of the knee joint, it depends on the, it major that is the main muscle for the knee extension or knee mechanics is quadriceps. So quadriceps muscle should be tension or it should be normal, and it should not be weak. So you have to maintain the tension or you have to maintain the strength of the quadriceps muscle. But I have already told quadriceps is an antagonist. So how you will teach the exercise? You have to give the exercise for quadriceps also. At the same time, you should not damage the ACL also. So this is the safe exercise, or the close kinematic exercise is the safe exercise, which will increase the strength of the quadriceps also. At the same time, the tension in the ACL is not does not increase also. So this is first principle. I have told in the beginning there are two principles are there. First principle is ACL strain. Again I will repeat and I will conclude my class. What is first principle? The tension in the ACL increases The tension in the ACL increases as the line of force of quadriceps closely opposes the primary action of ACL. So you have to, when as the angle is increasing, tension is increasing. As the angle is decreasing, tension is decreasing. So that is first principle. And second principle is amount of ACL strain is directly proportional to the magnitude of the quadriceps muscle activation. The amount of strain in the ACL is directly proportional to the strength or directly proportional to the quadriceps muscle activation. That is, if you give resisted, we are talking normal exercise, that is without resistance. Without resistance, if the knee is extending without resistance, the tension is 200 Newton, plus 200 plus Newton. So what will happen if you give resisted exercise? When you give resisted exercise, as you give resistance, the tension in the ACL will increase. That is why if the quadriceps muscle is activated too much by giving resisted exercise, the tension in the ACL will further increase. So you should not give resisted exercise for quadriceps muscle. You should not give as you increase the resistance, tension in the ACL will increases. So the strain in that is second principle. The strain in the ACL increases as the activation of the quadriceps muscle increases. So you should not give resisted exercise for the quadriceps muscle, especially in the 0 degree position. So this is the two principle you should keep in mind.